After 1923 Season 2, Yellowstone's Thomas Rainwater, Gil Birmingham, could relate to not one but two of its characters. The Broken Rock tribal chairman is presumably associated with Tiona Rainwater, Amina Nieves, whose story runs parallel to Jacob's, Harrison Ford, Kara's, Helen Mirren, and Spencer Dutton's, Brandon Sklenar, in 1923. 1923's Tiona and Yellowstone's Thomas share a surname, suggesting they are related. Still, 1923 Season 2 probably links Thomas to another 1920s character, enriching the end of Kevin Costner's series. Unfortunately, horrible things happened to Tiona Rainwater in 1923. Most notably, Tiona's loved ones died amid her escape from a government-run assimilation school in North Dakota. Still, Rainwater survived in 1923 Season 2's finale, walking free of the acts she committed against her assailants. Heading to California without a plan, Tiona's story is an open book, meaning Rainwater could return to Taylor Sheridan's next Yellowstone prequel. That said, Tiona's story in 1944 could connect Thomas to another 1923 character. Thomas Rainwater could be the descendant of 1923's Pete Plenty Clouds. Thomas Rainwater might have two 1923 ancestors. After the events of 1923 Season 2, there's a good chance that Thomas Rainwater is the descendant of Tiona and Pete Plenty Clouds, Jeremy Gowner. After they meet toward the end of 1923 Season 1, Tiona and Pete join forces, continuing Rainwater's pursuit of freedom from Marshall Kent, Jamie McShane, and Father Renault, Sebastian Roche, with her father, runs his horse, Michael Spears. Despite warnings from her father that they needed to stay focused, Tiona formed an intimate bond with Pete, connecting over the hardships they endured as Native Americans living in 1923 in 1923 Season 2. It was clear that Tiona and Pete were romantically involved. In 1923 Season 2's premiere, Tiona finally had some peace after enduring back-to-back assaults in the first season. We see Tiona's group peacefully camping in the wilderness on their way to Comanche territory, and Pete goes hunting for deer. After Tiona discusses her relationship with Pete with her father, Rainwater goes after Plenty Clouds, prompting a moment of intimacy by the river. We see them embrace, and Tiona's conversation with her father implied that Tiona was considering having her first sexual encounter with Pete. Considering they were physically intimate, Tiona could have been pregnant with Pete Plenty Cloud's baby at the end of 1923 Season 2. If so, the baby could connect Tiona to Thomas Rainwater, meaning Pete is also his ancestor. If Thomas were indeed related to Tiona, she would have started her family in the next Yellowstone prequel, which takes place 20 years later, and it may have already been set up that she has a child with Pete. Unfortunately, Tiona would raise her baby without a father, after 1923 Episode 6 confirmed Plenty Cloud's death. How Pete being Thomas Rainwater's ancestor changes Kevin Costner's Yellowstone story. Thomas Rainwater achieves something amazing. Being Thomas' ancestor, Pete would enrich the end of Thomas Rainwater and John Dutton's series. At the end of Yellowstone Season 5, John Dutton's son, Case Dutton, Luke Grimes, sells the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch to Thomas and the Broken Rock tribe after his father's death leaves him at its helm. Thomas had been vying for the land since Yellowstone Season 1, threatening to buy all of Paradise Valley, including the Yellowstone Ranch. Thomas wanted to restore it to how it looked when his Crow ancestors lived and hunted there, staying true to that mission throughout Yellowstone. Yellowstone Season 1 tells us that Thomas returned to Montana after studying at Harvard and working at places like Merrill Lynch. We know that Thomas wanted to gain stewardship of the Yellowstone Ranch to empower the people, restoring their connection to the land and, in turn, their way of life. Knowing that Thomas Rainwater has not one but two Crow ancestors, with Pete hailing from the same tribe as Tiona in 1923 Season 1, makes Yellowstone's ending all the more beautiful. It would mean that Thomas, regaining his ancestors' land, honored his mother and father.